Messiah Complex, the Gospel of Delusion. Prologue, a dusty road to delusion. In the sun-scorched hills of Galilee, a young carpenter's apprentice named Jesus sat under a fig tree, eyes twinkling while furrowing his unibrow as if contemplating the mysteries of the universe, or maybe just trying to recall if he'd already had lunch today. Life in Galilee was predictably dull, a monotonous cycle of sweat, sawdust, and the occasional thrill of market day haggling over a slightly dented pomegranate. For most, it was enough. But Jesus wanted more. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill youthful ambition. While other young men dreamed of inheriting their father's trades, or marrying the local baker's daughter, because free bread is free bread, Jesus was out here, staring at the sky, or talking to bushes, muttering cryptic phrases like, "What if I'm not just a man, but the man?" His friends found it quirky. His family blamed it on heat stroke. The carpenter who would be king. Mary, his mother, often tried to ground him. "Jesus, finish the table. We can't eat existential musings for dinner," she chided. But Jesus was already miles away in his thoughts, pondering whether he could outsource the table making to someone else, like Yahweh perhaps. Then came the sparrow incident. One blistering afternoon, Jesus lounged under a fig tree, watching a flock of birds flutter about. "Be free," he whispered dramatically, as if the birds needed his permission. His theatrics quickly soured when one bird collided with a passing cartwheel and dropped lifeless to the ground. Jesus, horrified and possibly hungover from last night's hallucinogen-spiked purple drink, rushed to its side. Cupping the bird in his hands, he whispered a prayer so intensely that even the figs on the tree seemed to hold their breath. Miraculously, or perhaps because the bird had just been stunned, it twitched, it squawked, and flew away. Jesus froze, eyes wide. "It's a sign," he proclaimed, ignoring the snickering of nearby farmers. "I am destined for greatness." From that day forward, the sparrow incident became his pièce de résistance, recounted to anyone who would listen, and many who wouldn't. It wasn't just a bird, he'd declare, psychedelic wine jug in hand, his voice swelling with theatrical grandeur. It was humanity, and I, a humble carpenter, brought it back to life. Resurrection, rebirth, renewal. Get it? His drinking companions, usually 3 cups deep into their own snake venom-laced concoctions, would nod sagely. "Oh, that's deep, Jesus," they'd mumble, though they mostly tolerated him because his purple drink really was the best in Galilee. Delusions and recruiting efforts. By 30, Jesus' small-town eccentricities had evolved into a full-blown Messiah complex. He abandoned carpentry altogether, claiming he had bigger tables to turn. He wandered the wilderness for days at a time, fasting, hallucinating, and getting into heated debates with himself, and occasionally random wildlife. "The world needs me," he declared one day to an empty hillside, arms outstretched like a traveling salesman presenting a revolutionary new product. "But I can't do it alone. I need a team, a dream team." His dream team recruitment process was unconventional, to say the least. He handpicked the most unlikely candidates. Awkwardly young fisherman with questionable hygiene, a tax collector who looked like he might pocket the tithe, and did, and a zealot who once tried to stab a Roman soldier with a sharpened fishbone. It was less Avengers Assemble, and more misguided misfits. Despite their glaring flaws, or perhaps because of them, Jesus believed in them. "Together, we'll change the world," he announced during one particularly raucous ritual night, which mostly involved bad trips and debating over who owed who for last jug of purple. And so, with his ragtag band of disciples and a head full of increasingly unhinged ideas, Jesus embarked on his journey. A journey that would one day spiral out of control in ways no one, least of all Jesus himself, could have predicted. What began as a man trying to make sense of his own delusions was about to snowball into history's most baffling cult. But for now, it was just a dusty road, a fig tree, and a carpenter with a Messiah complex. And maybe, just maybe, the faint echo of a sparrow's squawk as it flew far, far away, that only Jesus could hear.